Stay tuned because today I take this Ferrari Roma out for a test drive. Alright, so here we go. I'm gonna start the car, and that's how you do it. You have to press down on this digital. All digital. Everything on this center dashboard is digital. It's quite interesting because this is a complete departure from the analog Ferrari experience. This is almost like a signal ahead to the future. And I can appreciate this approach towards the future that Ferrari is now taking. And it's really nice. The digital screen in this car, everything is digital. Even the steering wheel is digital. Kind of cool. I think the center screen is the same size as my iPad mini, but it does everything right, so no complaints. The hand stitching of the leather is something to marvel at. The attention to detail in the stitching is classic Ferrari. It even has memory seat functions. I don't know 3 people who I would let drive my car, let's be real. The attention to detail in the way they finished the aluminum pedal box is classic race car aesthetics. There's even space to fit your phone. Hopefully you can charge your phone too, but I don't know. There's no Thunderbolt to indicate that. It's actually capable of fitting, I'd say myself and 3 people. It's got significantly less space than a Ferrari FF because the Ferrari FF was a true 4-seater cruise missile, whereas this is more like a 2+2. The chances of getting anybody in the back seat is less than likely. I really like this vehicle a lot. A very good entry-level vehicle. I mean, it is after all a Ferrari, and it's got the heritage, it's got the history, and this is definitely a great entry-level vehicle that does not feel entry-level at all. It's not a stick shift, which is cool. I mean, it is what it is. This is a new era in technology, and Ferrari has to move forward for the sake of progress and for the sake of better lap times at Monza, and that's totally cool. I fit in this vehicle, whereas in the past, I would never fit in a vintage Ferrari. Anything made from the 60s and 70s, I could barely fit. In this case, I can actually sit comfortably in this car. I have sufficient legroom. I have complete 180-degree visibility. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, Ferrari is modernizing itself for the modern customer, and that's a great thing. I like the way that they have grown as a company. Many people say, oh no, like they're stuck in their ways, but no, Ferrari is growing because they know that they need to appeal. And they're no longer at a time for the possibility that they can finance their racing program. So it's kind of cool to see that Ferrari is moving in a direction where they're paying attention to their road cars and taking care of their customer base. All right, so here we are for the test drive. I'm looking at this car. I'm looking at the steering wheel. I'm looking at this digital dash. And it's quite comfortable. It has all the amenities and features of a modern car that could be daily drivable. To hold it, hold P and auto. Now I'm in drive. And I will speak as I give you the first impressions. Okay. The interesting thing about this car is you figure out all the amenities right away. You figure out where the turn signal buttons are. You never quite have to take your hands off the steering wheel ever. Everything is direct to the driver. And it takes some getting used to because automatically you want to take your hands off the steering wheel in order to engage the turn signal stalk, but there is no turn signal stalk in this car. You literally just look at the steering wheel and it's like a modern Formula One interpretation of a steering wheel, but for the road. And it's quite interesting because you're looking at everything and, oh, it's got the automatic engine shut off. So that's kind of interesting for a Ferrari. You never think that, oh, I'm gonna turn off the engine as I'm driving the car because I want to save gas and I want to be very efficient on my fuel mileage. But these restrictions exist because of global restrictions on fuel. We want to be friendly to the environment, so that's why these systems are in place. And as soon as I let up off the brake pedal, the engine reignites. And in a vehicle like this, you have to be very cognizant of the tires and the engine management systems, because, well, you don't want to light up the tires on this car without warming them up. Even though this is the entry-level model and it's designed for daily driver use, you want to treat the car with respect and you want to engage it in the proper fashion. The car certainly makes the right noises. With a V8 power plant underneath the hood, you're gonna get somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 plus horsepower. And to think of an entry-level model with 600 horsepower is completely unthinkable only 20 years ago when I was a child. I remember reading about V12 Ferraris having about 300 to 400 horsepower. The Colombo V12 that were in their top-of-the-line models wouldn't even dream of making that amount of power. Whereas with this car, you're making insane amounts of power, and this is what they consider entry-level. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And this is probably better than any top-of-the-line Ferrari that came out in their heyday during the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s. These Ferraris are certainly stunning to look at. They certainly perform the part, and honestly, there's no complaints. This car does everything right, and for an entry-level model, it is quite impressive. Even the climate control is designed to work. The early days of Ferrari led people to believe that, you know, you get what you get, and that's what Ferrari gave you, and you had to deal with all the aches and pains of Ferrari ownership. It's an Italian car, you deal with it. This is our reputation, and we don't care. We make the best of the fastest Formula One cars, and if you want to even be a part of this history, you're going to deal with whatever we throw at you. But with the advent of the Acura NSX and a lot of other manufacturers having accessible forms of speed during the 1990s, Ferrari had to do their homework, and they had to go back to the drawing board because other people were beating them at the game of speed. Porsche with their 959, McLaren with their F1, and then Ferrari with their antiquated F40 that is legendary, but at the same time it is a very Spartan vehicle. It couldn't keep up with the likes and build quality of other manufacturers, giving Ferrari a run for their money. Ferrari stood alone in the playground of the legendary sports car, along with Porsche, arguably. They stood alone for the longest time, and they were uncontested for years. But as soon as competition came around and other options were viable and they were present, people started to look at other options, and Ferrari then, and only then, started to get better. Let's see how it performs. Yes, this car just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling for speed. It certainly does bring a smile to your face. And the promising thing about that speed is that it is very accessible and it is very stable. It doesn't feel like it's fishtailing on the road. It honestly keeps the car grounded, it keeps it planted, and you feel very safe in this car. This honestly feels like a boulevard cruiser in a good way, because it feels like it can handle the speed, but it doesn't feel like a very lumpy ride. It feels very good. And then the engine turns off because the stop start activate is going to make sure that you're efficient on your fuel. So that's a very good sign of a very good car. And it makes all the right noises. I mean, this car is all about the theatrics. It's having all its throwbacks to its design elements. It's having the fake gear lever in the middle. There's an iPad-like structure in the middle between the two seats. I mean, this digitized version of a Ferrari, it needs to compete with a new competitor that's not Lamborghini, it's not Porsche. It's competing with Tesla. And that's interesting to say, because by digitizing everything, I think Ferrari is making an attempt to understand the next generation of customers that are obsessed with their phones. I mean, chances are you're watching this video on your phone right now. And that's who they're targeting as their audience. They want to get the next wave of customers who are going to look at this car and be obsessed with, oh my God, it has the greatest screen, it has the greatest resolution, it's got all these megapixels, it's got all these fantastic features. And that's what makes this Ferrari a potential success moving forward. So congratulations to Ferrari for making a bella macchina. So yeah, this is a great car. I don't know if it even competes with the analog experience of, let's say, a Lotus, but it's targeting a different customer. And that's the conclusion of my test drive. I literally took the car around the block. But if you want something like this, you come to Ferrari Maserati of Long Island, and they'll take care of you. This is a wonderful machine, and I have nothing bad to say about it. It does the job really well. Yep, engine start stop. Yeah, this is a cool car. So if you like what I had to say, please like, subscribe, comment down below. Give me your impressions of the Ferrari experience. And I want to thank you for watching. Take care and have a great evening here in New York. The sun is going down, that's why I say that. I personally want to extend a thank you to the team at Ferrari Maserati of Long Island, a member of the Experience Auto Group, for all your Ferrari needs, ranging from the Roma all the way to sourcing a LaFerrari. Every request can and will be met. Thank you for watching.